WLFE-DB Radio has LGBTQ shows like Across the Pond, Rainbow Soul, Everything Yet Nothing, and Inside the Drag Closet. Check out the schedule on WLFE-DB.com. You can even watch them on TV at WLFE-DB.com under LGBTQ Friends, right off our website. Again, it's WLFE-DB.com for your LGBTQ shows and more.
WLFE-DB.com, where talk radio is a whole lot better. Our shows are your shows, and that there makes for a great talk radio.
Welcome to Rainbow Soul, part of the WLFE-DB network, an explorative discussion about spirituality beyond mainstream religions. Hollis Taylor, author, psychic, astrologer, and alchemical mage, brings their non-binary perspective together with fellow drag king and trans man Lacrosse Ortiz, a Jewish Taino with spiritual background of exploration that has led him to an atheist perspective. Join these guys as they explore deep and difficult topics, all related to spirituality, offering a queer perspective and exploration of interesting topics and engaging guests to help explore conversations for the Rainbow Soul.
Hello. Hey, welcome, my friend.
We're both happy hands.
Happy Pride.
Happy Pride. Yep.
Right? Yeah. Well, it's a beautiful time of the year for Pride and MidSummer. I always think it's hilarious how Pride Month falls during MidSummer.
Yeah.
And I'm always like, well, of course it is. Because that's what it's all about. That's kind of what MidSummer is all about. So I'm grateful to be having this show today, this sort of celebration today, and a lot of fun. So anyway, welcome to Rainbow Soul. I'm Hollis Taylor. I'm an author. I'm a witch. I am essentially a non-binary, unusual freak person. And I wrote the book, Divine Androgen. It's a sacred path for gender variant people. And I also lead rituals and things like that. And of course, I do this show, Rainbow Soul. And I form a path that is not a religion. It's a spiritual path that is defined by me. And that's what my book is about, too. It's about helping you find your own authentic self. I'm also a drag king. And that's how I know this guy right here, Lacrosse. And Lacrosse, tell us about you.
My name is Lacrosse Ortiz. I am a trans man, Jewish, Taino, atheist, little mold in a box. I go through this every week. I don't believe you have to believe in a divine to be spiritual. I believe it's a personal path. I am an ex-drag king because I just retired.
That makes you ex or retired?
Well, yeah, I'm retired. I'm retired. Okay. At a point where I just want to give to the community in a different way through my vodcast that I do, and feel that'll be a little more beneficial. And I think just my bones are aching. It's a little too much. It's a little too much. I'm not as young as I used to be. I'm not that rooster anymore. So You know what they do with old roosters? They save them for soup in my culture. It's terrible. And I don't want to be soup. So, yeah. So, yeah, that's me in a nutshell.
Oh, well, and I think, in some ways I'm kind of retired from drag. Sometimes I can do it and sometimes I can't. It depends on my physical moment. But at this time today, you and I are doing this show, and it's our Midsummer Pride show, meaning that if you don't know what Midsummer is, well, I hope that I could awaken you to it. I hope that we can show you what it's all about. And that's what we're going to talk about today is the celebration of Midsummer. Now, it's literally the middle of the summer. Like summer is really getting started. It's kind of the kickoff, like we're really getting there. And that's what this is all about. It's also about the connections of being connected with nature. So if you're into being connected with nature, that's what we're going to be talking about today. We're going to be talking about what Midsummer is, how did it get here, why do we celebrate it? And I'm sure, I don't know across what they call it in Taino culture, but I know that they celebrate it.
Yes. We definitely do celebrate it. It's mostly giving accountability to the earth and the sun, Yokahu. There's a whole concept behind it. Basically, it's also science, how Yokahu, which is based on the Yucca plant, gives its energy into the plant feeds us and goes into this like constant cycle because it goes into the earth mother. Then we get yucca, we eat the yucca, we have the father and the mother and the brother and the sister. We have everything all in this one little plant. So it's kind of like that. It's this constant recycling of all the elements in that one day.
Wow, that's really cool.
Yeah.
I didn't know the yucca plant was such an amazing, was such an important plant in your community.
Yes.
That's fabulous. Fabulous. Anyway, so that's why we're here today. We actually have a little bit of like a party going on because that's what Midsummer is all about.
Right.
So we have a couple of guests. So first guest, I'll go ahead and bring out. We have Bright Hawk from Bright Hawk Productions. She's a storyteller and a musician. She's queer and totally here. Welcome, Bright Hawk. You want to tell us about who you are?
Well, sure. It's a pleasure to be back on Rainbow Soul. Hi, you two. I am many things. I am a storyteller. I am a musician. I am the author of this book, The Dancing Hippo, which you can find at my website, Bright Hawk Productions. Why I'm proud of this book is that it is a gender-neutral book. There is no gender pronouns in this book because I wanted every child to see themselves in it. And there's 3 simple messages in the book, and one of them is very appropriate for tonight, which is shine your light. Only you can shine your light. And that's the truth of the matter. It's your personal decision. And summer solstice, I think, is about connecting with the sun and connecting with the sun inside of you and deciding how you want to shine forth in your life. So I'm very excited to be here to talk about solstice. I feel like music is part of music and spirituality. Playing music and praying are one and the same to me. And some people would call me a sound healer. It's not a label I give myself, but it's definitely a role I feel honored. It's an honor when you can play music for folks and help facilitate hold space for people's healing. I don't feel like I do anything, but help allow whatever needs to happen. So that's something I really, really enjoy, and that's a big part of my spirituality. And I would say the drum and paganism were once again hand in hand. And I've been on that path for probably, 25 years maybe. So it's fun to be here. I grew up a Catholic, right? Recovering Catholic. All those who understand, yo. And, I think we learn from all different paths. And that's why I appreciate our conversation here about spirituality, because it's about your relationship with what inspires you. So pleasure to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
Well, thanks for being here, Bright Hawk. And we're going to bring out our next guest, which is actually has become a friend of mine just by us doing a show. This is Jason. Jason actually is a really great person. I'll let him tell you about himself, but we do play Dungeons and Dragons together. And so maybe you'll catch the show sometime. But welcome, Jason.
Hello. Great to be on here. It's a great honor. I love the support. Everybody in our brother and sister shows out there on WLFE-DB.com. And so my name is Jason. I am the Bipolar DM. I have the Bipolar DM show. It is a show about Dungeons and Dragons, indie writing, and living with a mental illness, in particular bipolar disorder, borderline personality disorder, a major depression, among other diagnoses. And I don't know what else to talk about other than that's kind of what I am. I love using Dungeons and Dragons in a therapeutic manner and in such a way to bridge the gap of therapy and the reality of medicine and stuff like that. Because sometimes it's hard to express yourself in the normal world, and so Dungeons and Dragons has been a great place, a safe spot to be able to express yourself, to practice social and coping skills in an environment that is without any real world consequences. So if you screw it up in Dungeons and Dragons, it's not going to affect you in the real world. So it's great. I love using Dungeons and Dragons in that manner. And we have our show, a spinoff of my show, which is called Bipolar Dragons. And we are on Sundays at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And several of us get together and just play Dungeons and Dragons and have a great time.
We do honestly have a great time. And the other person that is part of that show is this person. She not only plays Dungeons and Dragons, but we also have a lot in common. I'm going to welcome to the show Psychic Cindy.
Hi.
Welcome. Tell us who you are, Cindy.
I go by Psychic Cindy, but most people just call me Cindy. I am a psychic medium, channel, spiritual counselor. I do tarot. I have my own podcast on WLFE-DB, which is Just Cindy. And so I'm also on, this way, right? I'm also with this friend, Jason, and this friend, Hollis, and we nerd out on Sundays and play D&D. And I'm ever so grateful that I can do that. And I appreciate Jason for introducing me, actually accepting me, because it was a very, very long time that I've wanted to play D&D, but all the boys said I couldn't because I was a girl. So I appreciate Jason.
Which is an absolutely ridiculous idea about Dungeons and Dragons.
That's insane.
Ridiculous.
It was so crazy. My guy friends, when I was younger, they were like, "You can't play because you're a girl." I'm like, "Come on, I want to play. I'm just a nerd waiting to escape."
Well, I'm grateful you are all here. Welcome. I also want to say that the community is welcoming us. Sandy is saying hello.
Sandy.
And Eric has said hi.
Hi, Eric.
Eric is saying hi to everybody. Welcome, Eric. Thanks for coming on. Thanks for watching the show. And happy Pride Month to you, Victoria. Thanks for watching. I'm glad you're here. Yeah, so it's been a really fabulous month, Pride Month. This is actually the first time in about 15 years that I haven't. Last year, I did a special appearance for Pride, but I've been having some health issues. But most of the time, I go to a physical Pride. But this time, I'm having another virtual Pride, I suppose, on Rainbow Soul. So that's really fabulous. I'm so glad you guys are willing to join me today. And I thought that putting it together with MidSummer, like I have repeatedly, I used to go to an event called Starwood, and it's a very pagan event, and it's right after the 4th of July. And I would always notice that, MidSummer was right before it, right before this event. And I'd be like, wow, it's so interesting that Pride, because I'd be coming from Pennsylvania, that Pride is the month of MidSummer. It's the same time. And I'm kind of like, did us queers, did we do that on purpose? Were we that smart? Because from a magical perspective, from the sun, the perspective of the sun and celebration of MidSummer, it's actually, if you like kind of do your research a little bit, you find out that MidSummer comes from the ancient, the early pagans celebrated as a time to honor what you have accomplished.
Right.
And that's exactly what Pride is. We accomplish that we have accomplished that we have our rights, that we can that we can even have pride, right? Because before Stonewall, there was no pride. And so I'm gonna say that it's just so happens that Pride and MidSummer are together, and I don't think that is an accident. I think that it was kind of maybe even done on purpose. But and because some of the people that were inspired to start Pride, that did Stonewall, were very magical people. The trans woman that led Stonewall, her story shows that she might have been a little bit of an earth magical person anyway. So anyway, so it's a beautiful, and I know another woman that was there, and she also talks about how we celebrated the sun, and it was the middle of the summer, and there's that celebration energy. So I thought each of us would talk about either your Pride experience or your MidSummer experience, or both. What is MidSummer to you, and how have you celebrated it? So you can take turns talking about how MidSummer appeals to you, or how it shows up for you.
I'd like to think that it's a time, like in my culture, that like the sun is energy, and it's like even more powerful and more powerful and more powerful. So like you were saying, I don't think Pride was by accident. I think it just fed with the sun, or that energy just fed it. But it's also a time of heat, a time of purging, a time of hardship also, because it's so hot and things get heated up, and so you kind of have both of them going hand in hand. Pride can be a wonderful thing and a beautiful celebration, but it can also be a trying time, because it's not just celebrating, it's also seeing people who have differences, who don't agree with you, who feel that your lifestyle, as along with Pride comes the protesters a lot of times. So I also look at that, and it comes, you're out there all day, you're being tested over and over again, and it doesn't always end well, and sometimes it ends fantastic. But at the end of the day, it's about gaining that energy and that experience, and just going further for the fight, or further for whatever it is in your journey that you're doing. So that's kind of what I get out of Pride and MidSummer. But for MidSummer itself, it's hot. It's hot. Like, it's too hot. I'm a terrible Latino. It's too hot. I don't like it.
Yeah, I was about to say, because you go to go to Puerto Rico right now. It's really hot.
Yeah, but it's a different heat. It's so weird.
It is.
It's not that gross. Like you're sticking. Like I'm on leather right now. I'm peeling off. It's no. It's not nice.
I'm on cloth. If it makes you feel any better, I'm sticking to it.
Yeah.
It's hilarious because
no ocean breeze coming from the ocean.
You guys need to go to the mountains because it's like not even 65 degrees today, and it's raining.
Okay.
It's cold. It's actually kind of cold.
I'm going to go wallow in self-pity right now. Thank you.
Right. It's 90 here in Rochester area today, and the humidity is pretty high.
Yeah.
So.
But I know that it's pretty hot. The first time I went to Pride was actually Washington D.C. lacrosse. It was many years ago. It was D.C. Pride, and I didn't see any protesters necessarily. I think the event is too big to protest. I mean, I suppose there might have been some. I was in the parade with a bunch of radical fairies. There definitely was some heat. But I don't think it had a whole lot to do with the sun. It had to do with everybody trying to get laid. So,
I thought you were just talking about closeness, proximity. I was like, wait a minute. When was this?
No, and this was like probably about 20 years ago in Washington, D.C., and everybody pretty much was trying to get laid. So that was my first Pride experience, and I was in the parade with the Radical Fairies, and we were celebrating MidSummer as well. And MidSummer is kind of also about that too, getting hot and getting laid, or coming together with the people you love. Yeah. However you choose to word it.
So take off all your clothes. I mean, what?
Right. So, how about you, Bright Hawk? Do you want to share your experience of Pride and MidSummer?
Well, actually, I feel really fortunate. I've been in some amazing places for solstice, for equinox. I've had winter solstice, which is also my birthday. The reason I'm named Bright Hawk is because I'm a bright light born on a dark night. So my birthday is the opposite of this solstice. I'm 12/20, winter solstice, so Sagittarius. And we just came out of the time of Gemini. So we've had this really intense eclipse period between these two solstices, in case you were feeling some intensity this last 6 months. And when I think about equinoxes, the most epic places I've done equinoxes has been spring equinox, spring equinox I played my instrument at the pyramids in Tulum and in Copal, and did ceremony with just tons of people in Mexico on the beach. That was just epic. But I have to say, summer solstice for me, the most epic summer solstices. Imagine a summer night with, I don't know, a few thousand people in a ginormous field with fireflies and the stars and the Milky Way above your head and the biggest bonfire you can possibly imagine, and it's bigger than you can imagine. It's obnoxiously large, actually. To be perfectly honest, it's like, did it have to be that big? And it's just huge. And the ceremony that goes on there all night long is always epic. And I always feel like there's this grander, greater energy that's unfolding that the whole world is involved in. And we just happen to be on this little tiny piece of wet grass, dancing around a fire, having an amazing time. Solstice and equinoxes, they always have this we are all connected. This cosmic journey we're on is just epic. And so those are my favorite big, epic, awesome equinoxes and solstices. And you guys have such great Pride stories. I thought I would throw down a little summer solstice what it means, what my big experiences on those dates have been.
Yeah, Braidhawk, Robert White asked, it sounds like Braidhawk is talking about Burning Man. No, Robert White, that's not what she's talking about. She's actually talking about, what event was that?
Starwood, the big bonfires. Yeah, Burning Man, you're right. Absolutely even more epic, bigger than you can even imagine. You're 100% right. And that's the same, like, whoa, massive energy. Yeah, very similar, but yeah.
I'm not sure when Burning Man happens, but it might happen around this time of year.
I think it does.
Yeah, I think it does. Yeah, and so that's another large
community event.
Labor Day weekend.
Okay.
Yeah. It's late summer because it's in Black Rock Desert, Nevada, which I think if you went into Black Rock, like it's not hot enough in late August, September, it would be insane in July. It's already insane.
True.
It's an epic experience. Not that I've had it. I just have lots of love and respect for the many who have.
Yeah. I don't know. The desert seems too hot for me.
I'm with you, Cindy. So, Cindy, tell us about your experience of MidSummer.
So, 1997 was when I found out because I was told by a medium that I was a medium, and not only that, a witch. So I felt like King Arthur had just pulled the sword from the stone, had no idea what the hell I was doing. I have all these powers and had no idea. Oh, wait, I did know I was weird and had weird stuff happen. However, I was now on a new journey into Wicca and witchcraft. And so my very first experience was with MidSummer, and my aunt, who was the one who had told me originally what the medium had said, because she was with her friend during the time of her reading. And then she came with me to my reading with that same medium. And my aunt tells me, I have this friend who tells me she's a witch and she wants to meet you. And I said, okay, great. And that goes down in the history books because that was my best friend, Val, that I met for the very first time celebrating MidSummer in 1997 at this wild ritual where the guy who led it, I shall not name his name, was renowned for having sex with the women in the group. And I was like, hell to the no, thank you. And we jumped the bonfire. We did all of these crazy cool things. And it was just like so cool to me that we could celebrate MidSummer and be at this place of the days being longer than the nights and jumping the bonfire and talking. And it was all about love and peace and camaraderie and learning about, that it was all about gratitude, love, and also delving deep into ourselves, because now the rest of the year is less decreased light. So now we're delving into self and learning about ourselves. And I was like, what? This is so cool. So I not only got to meet my best friend, who literally is my co-witch. We literally call each other co-witch. And it has since gone down in the witch's history book, her story book. And so it was amazing that I could actually have this as my very first ritual by fire, literally, as my very first one, because I'm a fire sign. So it's just absolutely perfect that it should be a fire ritual. And of course, it's all about the passion and the sex in the inauguration of fire.
Oh my gosh.
It's about heat.
Wait, what did Brayhawk say?
I said it's definitely about the heat. Yeah. Come on.
Right, it is.
Eric said, I mean, you can only take off so much before it comes not socially acceptable.
So true. I mean, yeah, I agree. True story or thirst story book, Cindy. Robert, you crack me up. I love these.
All right. Jason, why don't you tell us about what you know about MidSummer, how you've come upon it?
Well, I've studied green witchery and that and kitchen witchery, and so for me, midsummer, coming from a mental health standpoint, is the sunlight gives energy, and especially when the opposite, which is the winter solstice, being the shortest day of the year and the least amount of sunlight, feeds into my seasonal affective disorder or my depression. And so the sunlight in the midsummer is quite the opposite. It actually can be a little dangerous for me because I can become manic and have those grandiose and larger than life ideations and stuff like that. And so from a mental health standpoint, midsummer is a great boon for me because just getting all that free sun rays and getting the boost in endorphins and everything like that is great. I do have a pride story. Last week I was with T. Roy and Kevin in their at their place for their show, and we went over the history of pride going from the turn of the century of 1900 1908 going on through until the early 80s as far as we were able to get. And so we hit all the major turning points and all the major different laws and repealing of laws and Stonewall and organizations that sprouted up and everything like that. And it was just amazing looking at that history and celebrating the history of how far everyone has come, and also recognizing how far we have yet to go too on top of that. So, but we don't want to forget where we came from and how far we have gone. So far we've made leaps and bounds compared to even just 10, 20 years ago where we're at now. And yes, we still got a ways to go, but we don't want to forget, and we don't want to and belittle where we've come from as well. And so it was an amazing show, and I was very proud to be part of it and honored to be asked to be with them. That's my story.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's great.
That's fabulous. Yeah, I started watching a series actually that goes through the history of the LGBTQ people. I'll have to get more information about that series. I don't remember what channel or anything. But the history of the LGBTQ community is pretty fantabulous. I have a friend of mine. She has a poem that she essentially says that if it wasn't for trans people, we wouldn't have pride, because trans people are the braver ones, the ones that stood up to the cops, and the ones that stood up and said, hey, we're all queer, we're here, accept us as we are. And so she has a really cool poem about it. It's actually really cool. But I think midsummer is like this time of year where we can say, wow, look at how far I've come, right? Because when you're in the middle of the winter, you're right. I'm with you there, Jason, with I tend to also around Yule time, I tend to have a little bit of darkness lingering over me that isn't very easy to deal with. And I actually celebrate Yule to help me cheer up a little bit and to believe that the light is coming back, right? Because the days are so dark, right? I think it is about vitamin D actually. And I have to take vitamin D so I don't get too depressed. And for me, when I get to midsummer, I'm usually high energy. Like ready to go and do things. And even now, I want to be going out and doing more travel or being at the actual Pride and things like that. Just I can't right now. But that will change, and I have the belief that it will. And I think that sometimes, even in hard times, when for whatever reason that you can't travel, that if you do just keep your belief and follow that belief, then it will lead you the way you need to go. And I think that's why spirituality is so vital and important. And I feel it's unfortunate that many LGBTQIA people don't have a spiritual path. And the reason we don't have one is because we've been ostracized by so much religion and telling us that we're wrong or telling us that we're sinners. And well, the story goes on and on, no need to repeat it. And so as a result, many of us struggle with that side of us.
Right.
Because it's shamed, because it's looked down on, because we're seen as lesser than. When, in my experience, even I know lacrosse, this is true for the Taino culture and most indigenous cultures, is that two-spirit people are generally celebrated.
Yeah.
And the more I would hear that, the more I was like, what's the problem? And so I think now to realize where we've come, and also for us to embrace a spiritual path that helps us connect to nature, and helps us realize our spiritual connection to nature, because every single one of us, regardless of what or who we are, whether we're queer or not, we are all connected to nature, and nature goes through cycles, and every year we come through this time, and the energy is high, and I think it's a great time to celebrate and honor that.
I wanted to segue a little bit on what you were saying about how the rainbow community, how we have been we don't get to we're ostracized. I think it's like with any minority type group, when you think that they have been colonized and they have been their sacredness has been taken away, and now it's a matter of the rainbow community finding their magic again or their sacredness again because it was taken away from them, like any other minority group, whether it was indigenous, whether they were African American, whatever, because of this whole Christian, and not that I want to bash Christians, but the whole Christian and colonized mentality affected not just, people of color, it affected people of sexual orientation and all that. And just like with any other culture, it has to be regained.
Yep.
So,
yeah, and I think LGBTQ people can absolutely take back their spiritual path.
Yeah.
I think we can absolutely overcome whatever has stopped us from connecting. And I think going to nature seems like the most natural thing, frankly, because nature doesn't judge us for being queer. Mm-hmm. Nature, the goddess, God, the sun could give a rat's ass who we love, as long as we love somebody, and just love somebody, and that's all. And that's really what this is about. That's what being alive is about, is loving one another. And I also want to say that not Victoria Michaels is asking, which Wicca do you practice? Wicca, I would say I'm eclectic.
I am too.
An eclectic pagan.
Yes.
Kitchen witch.
I'm definitely an eclectic Wiccan. I pull from all religions, to be honest, and cultures within the pagan, gods, goddesses. But I also have Buddha, and Jesus tends to show up at Tarot Tuesday, so I don't kick him out because he's cool as hell.
He was never the problem.
What's that?
He was never the problem.
Right.
And look what they did to him.
Exactly. So I
So
mean,
true, Lacrosse.
and that's coming from a Jew. Just saying. Okay.
That was amazing. So true. Yeah,
Absolutely.
I love that. Yeah,
Absolutely.
that's right.
That's right, Victoria. If your faith is strong, no one takes it away. And I
Mm-hmm.
think that that's exactly what it's all about. And I think that midsummer is a time for us to say, look, we got this far. And that's exactly what, and traditionally they would have in old villages, they would have an all-night fire, like Bright Hawk was saying. Traditionally they would build like a big fire, and Starwood typically does have a fire that could probably be impressive to most burners, people that go to Burning Man. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if the same people that build the fire there also go to Burning Man. So at Starwood, they do have a huge fire. And I remember the last one that I was at, there was a huge fire. And she's right. It's just a massive, massive fire. And it's log cabin style. The logs are as big as a tree. Okay.
Wow.
They're not. Yeah. And it's so big, there's no way you can hear people on the other side of the fire. Just no way. Even the drummers. So like they put all the drummers on one side, and it's hilarious because once you get partway around the fire, you can't hear them. And so you're just like, okay, well, they're drumming, but you can't hear them anymore because the fire is like, and
Right.
and it's roaring. So Bright Hawk was drumming, and I was like, okay, so what am I going to do with my time? So I just sat down and started doing tarot readings for the community. And it was actually quite beautiful. I was also pouring tea, which is like a way for people to come together and just kind of connect with each other. 2 or 3 of us together sitting on a little blanket and having tea. And I did this all night long. All night long I sat there doing this, and people were doing other things around the fire. People were doing other readings. People were it was just really beautiful and fabulous, and I appreciated how everybody just brought what they had. And even if you couldn't hear it on the other side of the circle, it didn't matter because everybody just brought, and if you happened to be next to that person, you got to hear whatever they offered or whatever they were doing. Some people just sang a song. Some people brought a poem. Some people were doing stuff like I was doing. And then, of course, there were lots of people down there drumming, but you could only hear them if you went down there. So if you wanted to dance, you had to go down to the drummers. and that's pretty much what it's about. It was bringing your light to the fire. And the fire was so bright. The fire was so big, you couldn't even get within about 5 feet of it, maybe 10 feet. And it was so massive, and it went all night long. And that's the tradition. That's the midsummer tradition, is to do that and to bring your light to the community. Go ahead, Bright Hawk.
Well, and I also wanted to just say the other common feature that I think we can all relate with about summer solstice is we are of the earth, and we have harvest and get to eat yumminess from the earth in such abundance. And so, I think that's a huge part of we are earthlings and look at this incredible harvest. And it's a huge part of the summer, I think, for everyone. It's like, oh, I get to have strawberries. It's summer solstice. and we're earthlings. We eat the earth. We're of the earth. We are one with the earth. And I think that
Are you
is
saying we eat
very
each
simple
other?
for them. Huh?
Are you saying we eat each other, Brian?
That's right. That's exactly what I'm saying, Cindy. You go. Earthlings. We're Earthlings. That's all I'm saying. Yeah. Connecting with that Earth vibe.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm just saying.
no eating other Earthlings. Okay, that's a no-no.
Don't eat the.
No.
I mean, I won't pass judgment.
Hey, I'm a
on you.
vegetarian, so I can live up to that one. Remember, everything is an Earthling, right?
Yep.
That's true, right?
Right? Some of you eat the chickens that are Earthlings. Some of you eat the cows that are Earthlings. I don't do that anymore. I stopped eating sharks a long time ago.
Yeah, I don't eat sharks. No.
And then I'm pretty sure they probably won't eat us.
Right.
Maybe. And getting in the water, I think, is a huge part of everyone's summer bliss bubble of, you get to finally be in the water and being in wild waters. It's very elemental, right? We have a chance to be very, very in tune with the elements. And I think that's part of summer solstice.
I'm a triple fire sign. I don't go into many waters.
I'm double fire, and I know I should.
That's so funny. Robert is hysterical.
I go feed the birds and come back to hear Cindy. He says, typical, I go feed the birds and come back to hear Cindy saying something about eating each other. Eve says, I often find
I love
myself creating art by the fire. Oh, that's beautiful, Eve.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah, that's absolutely beautiful. And I think I have been to some summer events where people come and they have like live painting the whole day. In fact, the artist, that's kind of how we came with this artist that did the art on the dancing hippo. She did some live paintings at an event. And it is true, like in the middle of the day, we went into her gallery, and when we looked at her art, it looked like the animals were like winking at us. She is particularly good.
Mm-hmm.
And so she would do live painting, and I appreciate artists. I think anyone that has the ability to paint beautiful things. Bright Hawk painted this rainbow thing here.
I love that painting, Bright Hawk. Yes. I love your owl too.
That's the cutest thing.
Cute.
These are the art that she's working on.
Oh,
so, Eric, I agree. The voice of the fire, a lot can be heard from it if you just listen. That's true. There were some moments that I sat by that fire and no one was visiting me in the moment, and I would just listen to the fire roar, and I was like, whew, it really does roar when it's that big. It really gets so big that you're like, wow, and it just kind of becomes its own entity or something.
How about the faces that you can see in the fire itself just by watching the fire?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there's a lot of, especially in those fires, you swear you could see people dancing around it.
Exactly.
Spirits. Yeah, spirits and
Amazing.
energies. Yeah. And, it sounds like Robert's in Australia. I'm laughing because he said that it's pretty cool there. And I'm laughing because, well, it's like 70 degrees here, Robert, where I am. Not even. It's like 60, barely 60 degrees.
Yeah, I don't want to go in the there's probably snakes and such not down there in Australia. Maybe they don't have snakes.
No, I'd love to go to Australia. Although right now, Australia, is experiencing Yule, right? They're in their winter solstice. So I always think that's,
cool, right?
Fabulous. Yeah, I want to fly. I want to go to Australia. So that's just my dream.
I want to go and look at a toilet and watch it drain the opposite way. Because it does.
I don't know if I would even
Coriolis effect.
Yeah. As someone who's been in the Southern Hemisphere, I can assure you by the time you get down there, it's the least thing you give a shit about.
Good one, Red Hawk. That's good.
Yeah, the snakes
and
are pretty bad down there.
I just wanted to echo the comment about the fire. And I think those of us who have spun fire, there is something about the voice of the fire. And I love this conversation keep coming back to the elements. I'm not trying to do that. It just keeps happening. But the elemental connection you experience when you work with fire and you spin fire, it has a voice and a personality, and it's amazing. It's amazing.
Yeah.
That's funny. In the Taino community, we have a similar thing with the fire. It's an all-nighter. There's a firekeeper. Actually, the dancer is the firekeeper. The drum cannot stop drumming for 3 days.
Wow.
And to have that drum, and we go in shifts doing this, and you literally have to go to the point of exhaustion. You know, it's not like Northern way. You know, most indigenous have something like that where you dance to the point of exhaustion. And with us, like, I was very fortunate to be a part of that. And it was great because the way to keep yourself awake was to have a maraca. So you had this constant sound, you're feeding the fire, and it would be so awesome to hear the drummer starting to fall asleep. And he's like, and I start shaking the maraca real quick. He's like, boom, 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 and start going again. But it's such a spiritual thing, because like you're saying, you're gaining that light, you're giving light, you're actually taking from that fire.
Yeah.
And that's what keeps you going all night. And let me tell you, it can be exhausting, but if I could do it again, I would so do it again. I'd just dance all night and nonstop till dawn to get that done. It was so beautiful.
And how many cultures around the world have that same story of the deep rhythm, the deep entrainment, and then how a journey leads to the trance, and it takes us away often to the space that we're ready to journey into. And as someone who has literally done fire circles for 25 years, it's my 10,000 hours. It is by far my 10,000 hours. I would say I'm well past 10,000 hours in the drum world.
Beautiful.
Because we've often done 3 to 5 night ceremonies.
Yeah.
And you're right, we take turns. There's an ebb and a flow of players coming in and out. And I don't know, I think it was good for me that I ran a marathon when I was a kid. Well, I say a kid, I was in high school. And when I've looked back at that experience, I'm like, I know it's not for everyone, but everyone should experience it, because there's something that happens when we go past whatever it is that we thought we were capable of.
Right.
And we bust past the brain, we bust past the story, we bust past whatever it is that needs breaking through, breaking down, breaking open. And that's a huge part of my summer experience and my path of the drum, and my willingness to, I've definitely had the calloused hands as well as the bloody hands, and that's never, there's no, look at me.
Right.
It's the when we let go, when we really let go, when we let go to so big, to something so much more than we can comprehend, there's no words. Yeah. That's the space I'm looking for, that ultimate. There's a wonderful shaman teacher, his name is Maladome Some, and he says, when the sound ship goes, when all the drummers connect and lock and the rhythm just whoosh, everyone goes, like everyone gets a ride. And that's the space that we're like, how do we keep recreating that in the now? Because you can never recreate, right? No. But that's why we study. It's why we practice. It's why we work at, having some facility with this stuff, because the energies can be so big.
Yeah. Dramatic.
Yeah.
I think one of the really amazing things about now I'm not so much a drummer. I can drum if I want to, but I don't. I'm actually a dancer. And one of the things that happens is there's an exchange between the drummers and dancers. But at some point when I was like really exploring my gender, I started to, instead of dance around the fire, I used to dance around the fire naked. Okay.
Okay.
I stopped doing that. And I was like, I don't know if I really want to do this. And then I started actually experimenting with spinning flags and spinning. And then eventually I started spinning fire. And one of the things that happened to me as I was listening to the drummer's drum and then I'm spinning fire, this is a very interesting time in my life because things started to really change. And I remember focusing on the fire around me because I'm spinning like this, I'm spinning the fire around me. And I remember focusing on transformation, that I was going to transform. And I felt like I was engulfed in fire, but completely safe. I'm not on fire. I'm just surrounded by fire, which is an unusual feeling anyway, because you can feel the heat of the fire that you're spinning. You can hear it swoosh, swoosh, swoosh around you. And it feels like fire is completely surrounding you because it's going so fast, it's leaving trails. And there's other people spinning around me. Plus, there's a huge, at this particular event, there was a huge fire. Plus, there was a person up on stilts on fire, like she was some sort of creature at this MidSummer event that we do at New York Fairy Festival. And she had like huge fire fans in her hand, plus she was on fire. And she's like walking towards me, and I'm spinning fire at the same time. Wow. And I just remember being engulfed in the fire in the experience and being taken by the drummers on a sort of trip of transformation. And I definitely experienced transformation in my life following that very dramatic sort of etched in my brain experience.
Oh, and so from my perspective, I'm on the drums. We're playing. It's cooking. It's heating up. It's getting really hot and tight. And out of a field coming towards us, from the dark, is a blue lit LED dragon that has a wingspan of 20 feet and is 20 feet tall. And I look at one of the other drummers and I'm like, I didn't take a hit of acid. Do you see that? You see that, right?
Right? Is
like,
that
how's that even possible? And then the fire fans come out, and this dragon is dancing on stilts in front of us, and it's
amazing. Amazing.
That's why we go there.
And I think these experiences kind of etch in our brain, they mark a time of transformation. And I feel very fortunate to have experienced as many festivals as I have. I feel incredibly fortunate because it's not always easy to get to these events, number one. Right. Number two, you usually have to pay for it. And Starwood's very inclusive. I'm just going to say that in case anyone's wondering. Starwood is very queer. There's lots of queer people there. They even have a queer camp. They even show Rocky Horror Picture Show one night.
I need to watch
it. So, Rocky Horror? You haven't seen Rocky Horror? You can
only little bits and pieces. So many of my friends make fun of me for not seeing it.
Okay, well, you should see it.
Especially my queer friends. Just saying.
I've seen it at least 100 times. I've seen it probably 100 times.
I actually just recently saw it.
Okay, thank you, Lacrosse. Thank you. You make me feel
I'm the worst queer in the world. Okay. I'm just terrible. People are like, have you seen this? No. It's up there with being a drag king, and I've never saw RuPaul. I'm like, I'm around them all the time.
RuPaul. Listen, I had one stint doing Drag King, and I think I owned it. I was awesome. I gave myself a lot of credit for going out of my comfort zone and walking and acting like my brother. Weird.
That's great.
So I want to address this that Eve is saying when one is in a wheelchair and is deaf, so relies on vibration. That's absolutely true, Eve. I understand my father was blind, and it makes it challenging to figure out where I should be and what to do. Definitely. And Eve, I want to say that at Starwood, there are other people that live in wheelchairs that attend that event. I know her personally, and although she can hear, she has other reasons that she lives in a wheelchair. And I would say that there are always people like me around to help you engage. And I'm happy that you're here, and I honor your journey. And I'm just going to say I honor your journey as a person that lives in a wheelchair and can't hear. That's a special journey.
Yeah.
I just want to say, as a musician, that's the one thing I miss about being able to play live for folks is as great as Zoom is, as grateful as I am that we've had Zoom, the experience of the vibration, especially for someone such as yourself, is you can't replace that. You can't reproduce that through this channel. And just want to honor your journey in that regard.
So I live right outside of Rochester, New York, and we have a big deaf community because we have a big school here for the deaf, and it's amazing. But it was amazing even more to go to the clubs and have the people that were deaf there, and they were dancing right along with us, and it just amazed me to watch them experience music that I could hear. But it was just amazing to watch them. To take it in a different way, right? It absolutely astounded me. It was amazing.
Well, we've made it partway through, and I want to say thank you to all of you. And I want to call on the audience. Now is the time. Share your dream, because when we come back from this commercial break, Lacrosse is going to be ready to interpret a dream. Just type it up if you have a dream that you'd like Lacrosse to interpret, just type it in the comments. I'm going to put a little chat up. And we will, when we come back from a commercial break, hopefully we'll have a dream and Lacrosse will interpret that. In the meantime, we're going to take a little break. Thank you all.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. Life just got sweeter now that WLFE DB has merchandise. Show your support by purchasing your t-shirts for WLFE, Paratalk Radio, Inside the Drag Closet, and more. But it doesn't stop there. T-shirts, coffee mugs, tanks, buttons, cloth bags, and more. Go to WLFE-DB.com. On the top bar, click on the merchandise tab and bam, there you go. You got merch. Support the shows. WLFE-DB.com.
Tune in to Kaleidoscope Eyes with your host, Transman Lacrosse Ortiz. Every week, we will be touching topics within the LGBTQIA plus community. We will also be having interviews with individuals within the community and allies. Journey with us as we share in their struggles and triumphs every Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern.
WLFE Digital Broadcast Network is on TV. You can watch all of our shows on WLFE-DB.com. Check out our channels: Paranormal View for all of your paranormal type shows, LGBTQ Friends for all of our LGBTQ shows, Variety Unlimited for all other shows. It runs 24/7 right on WLFE-DB.com. You'll even catch the lives, all in one place. Never miss an episode, past or future. WLFE-DB.com, where our shows are your shows. Search for your favorite shows like Where's My Sage, Inside the Drag Closet, Across the Pond, Everything Yet Nothing, Paratalk Radio, Step into the Paranormal, The Creepy Parlor, Just Cindy, and more. Now you won't miss an episode. Remember, follow Facebook Live and YouTube Live. Make sure you subscribe and follow your favorite WLFE-DB radio shows. You can find our shows where you listen to your favorite podcasts, like Spotify, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, and more. WLFE-DB Radio is looking for podcasts to join our family. You don't have to fit any strict genre. We're a plethora of shows. If you're looking to jump on a growing network, then contact us at WLFEDBradio@gmail.com.
Wow, Amazon Music just got a whole lot better. Your favorite shows from WLFE-DB Radio can now be found there. Yes, we are on Amazon Music, found under podcasts. Download the app, find podcasts, and search all of your favorite shows. Shows like Where's My Sage, Across the Pond, Everything Yet Nothing, Skeptical Help Bar, The Creepy Parlor, Just Cindy, and much more. Now you don't have to miss an episode ever. Amazon Music is WLFE-DB Radiofied.
More from WLFE-DB Radio Network after this.
It's hot in this trailer.
Welcome back. I feel so bad for all y'all down there, over there in the east. So hot.
I'm like,
I'm like, you got to learn how to vacation to the mountains.
Oh,
Go to the mountains.
Yeah, I think it's calling me. It's definitely calling me.
The summer is actually the best time to come into the mountain, unless you're a skier. But right. If you just want to cool off a little bit, there's a lot of people that come from like Texas and places like that, Nebraska and stuff. When it's really hot, they come to our Airbnb and they're like, "Oh, it's so cool up here." And we're like, "Yeah."
It's like, as much as I would love to do a fire, I'm just like, no, it's too hot. I can't.
That's it. Sometimes I'll
put her on the TV.
Starwood. Ooh. Starwood is in Ohio, and I often felt that way. I was like, really? It's already hot, you guys, in case you didn't notice.
Uh,
Well, it looks like we have a dream.
um,
Eve brought you a dream.
yeah, it
I'll read
doesn't
it
look
out
like
loud.
it's finished,
Okay, well,
or
I'll read
maybe it is
what we
finished.
have
Yeah.
so far. What we have so far is I had a dream this morning that there were kids in my dream who were infants but had more hair cut in a pixie cut, which made them look more mature than they were supposed to be. And I was confused as to why they were made up this way, whether they were wigs or what the parents who were no longer taking care of them had done to make them look older than they were, and why. I was taking care of them and talking to a friend about it as I was trying to take care of the child and wondering. I'm like, I wonder if Eve actually has people in their life that are adults that maybe they help mother. You know what I mean?
Right, right.
I was just wondering if that's true for them in their life.
I definitely see like adults, but they're, I don't want to say childlike, but maybe, or they could be starting something new and feel like they are not be like kind of abandoned because the parents left them. You know, it's like no different. Okay, when we first started drag, you need like a drag parent to help guide you through. It's kind of like the same thing. This looks like somebody, I don't know if, I like to believe that who we dream of is just a different manifestation of ourselves. It's like our subconscious. So when I see the child, I see that like, yes, you're taking care of that child, you're taking care of yourself, that inner child or whatever, but it's missing something. It's still in the process of learning, and the child feels a little abandoned in the sense because yes, okay, it's a baby and it looks like an adult, but you can't expect it to know more until it's taught more. So I kind of get that maybe there's, thank you, maybe there's something in in a learning process that they feel like they're not learning enough or they're not growing enough. I don't know. That's kind of what I'm getting.
Oh, okay. Sandy is saying this is the rest of her dream. I guess she's reposting it. Some reason it didn't come through for Eve. Why their parents had abandoned them. She was wondering why their parents had abandoned them. As I've always wanted children, so could not understand what had happened. There was one specific one that stood out to me, but there were a lot, about 5 or 6 little ones. Wow.
Yeah, it does really feel like an abandonment in learning. You know, um, it could be in learning, it could be just in life, but there is a little bit of an abandonment situation there. So you gotta kind of dig deep and realize what exactly is it that you're new at, or what is it that's childlike that you feel abandoned in. I mean, that's just what I'm getting. I mean, I could be wrong.
Well, hopefully she'll be able to answer in a minute. It might take her a few minutes, especially if I know that. I don't know how long it takes her to type it at. People type at different speeds. Yeah, and I also wonder, like, are there young people that are in your life, Eve, that maybe their parents have maybe disowned them, because
Right.
especially if they're queer, because I know that personally kind of happened to me for a good while.
Right.
My family had a hard time with me being queer. So, and that would probably be, and it was disturbing to some of the people that took care of me,
Yeah.
as that only knew me as an adult. But they seen the child in me get abandoned, if you will.
Yeah. That's the beauty of dreams. There's it's perception, and we see so many different we're so complicated and can see so many different facets of the mind in dreams, and and I always believe that we're dealing with things in our sleeping that we don't deal with in our waking.
Mm-hmm.
You know, sometimes.
Obviously.
Yeah. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that's an
Yeah.
intense dream.
Yeah, obviously we're not dealing with something. And it's interesting because now when I have a dream, lacrosse, I go like this. I go, okay, wait a minute. What did lacrosse say? What is my relation to all these different people?
Right.
And what do they mean to me?
Yeah.
And so that's kind of, I say that right away when I start to think about a dream, and how it's relating to me and why I'm having it. So yeah, so fabulous. Thanks for doing that. I'm sure Eve
I
appreciates
hope
it.
it helped.
I'm sure Eve will come up with something. And in the meantime, I think it is time to bring everybody back out. Oh, Eve said, hold on, let's go to Eve real quick. Sorry, I'd lost my signal a moment. I know there are some young people who I know who have been facing that. Yeah. It just
Yes.
struck me odd that kids in the dream were more infant, made up to look older.
Yeah.
Yeah, and sometimes I know for me, because my family, the way my family disowned me, there were people that were in my life, Eve, that loved me and cared for me the way I needed my family to love and care for me. So even though I looked like I was 25 years old, I actually was probably really the part that they were mothering. What my stand-in mother, Karen, she and even Kim, they were mothering my baby. They were mothering my infant. And that's why I say that, because if you do have people in your life, that young people or younger people, that they look older, but you're actually, if you're giving them the love that they need, you're actually mothering the baby within them that was abandoned by their parents. And unfortunately that happens, but thank God for those people.
Yes.
Stand-in moms. I had a stand-in mom. Thank God for her, because I wouldn't be here right now. So I'm just saying that those people, those of you out there that are allies, that love a queer person or just a person that's been through a lot of trauma, they need motherly love, even if you are not their real mother. Doesn't matter. Just give them the love they need, because when you do, it really does heal. Know your power. It definitely works.
Absolutely.
And I want to thank all of the stand-in moms, dads, aunts, uncles, aunties, whatever you call yourself. You are important, including drag parents.
Yes. Yep.
So
Definitely.
Yes. So all right. So we're going to have a public ritual right now. We're going to bring everybody out. So I'm going to bring everybody out, back out to the stage area. And what we're going to do is we are going to essentially show everybody how we can have a ritual that's inclusive. That's going to include a little bit of everybody, because I think we have almost every type of person. We have, I believe Jason is a heterosexual cisgender male, and we have Cindy, who is, and you're both allies, Cindy and Jason. Cindy, who is a female, yeah, I believe she and is heterosexual.
Yep.
Lacrosse, you are obviously a trans man.
Trans man.
I would, yeah, and I am, although I identify as a trans man, I'm also non-binary. So I'm kind of both in the middle. And Bright Hawk, I would say, well, she's definitely queer. Trust me, she's queer. And and she even kind of identifies outside the binary. And so I think it's interesting that we have many representations of all of us here today.
Yeah.
And isn't that beautiful? Because that's what this is all about.
Yeah.
So we're about to have a ritual, and I want to include the audience. So, and by the way, Lacrosse, I hope you see Eve's comment. I think Lacrosse may be hitting on the second component. That is my experience, which influenced my care of others.
Nice. Beautiful.
Okay.
Beautiful.
So that's beautiful. So in this moment, we're going to have a little midsummer ritual, and I hope that the audience will, that everybody watching, that you will participate. And even if you're watching the recording of this show, please go ahead and take a moment to sort of honor this ritual with us today. So I'm going to start. Just ask my personal ancestors to help me through this so that it may serve all and everyone that is meant to be helped. We gather to honor midsummer's light, the longest day, the shortest night, the height of summer in the wheel of the year. With the light at its brightest, is our vision clear? A time of playfulness, lightning bugs, bonfires, and fay. We can enjoy the dark with winter at bay. But even in opposites, there's a piece of the other. Just as a rainbow needs all of its colors. We call to the four directions, voices full queer, air, fire, water, earth, spirit, please hear.
Air. Air in the East is not often given a gender. Both ethereal and muscular, air is a bender. Air represents our thoughts, our knowledge, our ideas. Air lifts us up, blows us back, demands and teaches. With the turn of the wheel, midsummer is here. Air is swirling through us, make the cloudy become clear. Air in your neutrality, you neither preach nor judge. Free to be each who we are, ourselves we become.
Fire in the South has a very male energy. From the heat of a bonfire to the great father sky. Fire is our will, our drive, that spark of inspiration. Fire's brilliance illuminates dark corners, raises our motivation. St. John's Day, summer tide, the God's time is here. Fire give us strength and courage, burn away our fears. Fire, you offer us a masculine connection. Whether beaten path or newfound trail, you light our direction.
Water in the West symbolizes the feminine, strong yet soft, flowing from within. Water with emotions, intuition, and dreams has resonance, guiding our subconscious, demanding we trust. At midsummer, winter is seen in the dew, the gentle rains. Water, wash us clean and begin again. Water, you serve as the female element, ambassador for all women. You counsel and protect.
Don't be mad.
Earth in the north carries both by design. Here, the feminine and masculine in reality intertwine. Earth actualizes our ideas, emotions, and thoughts. Earth grounding us in substance is where we walk our talk. At summer solstice, the earth is green, fresh, and fertile. Earth, celebrate this life with us, forever a circle. Earth, you embody the full energy of both, balancing female with male to make up the whole.
Ancestors, wake up. Spirit, divine one, sacred spirit, keeper of all. If you are complete, included, entire, total. Spirit is infinite, encompassing every possibility, from one spectrum end to the other, and all in between. Solstice is the apex of divine's own light. Spirit, grant us balance as we walk the path we find right. Universal one, you contain all we are meant to be. Help us manifest our best, for in you we are free.
Fantastic. Thank you all.
Right,
Hawk, why don't you give us a little drum? Beautiful. Thank you.
Great
Bright
Hawk.
Hawk is so beautiful.
So
And I want to say, in this moment, we honor midsummer. We honor this time of year. And I want to invite every single one of us to speak a gratitude, something you've achieved. This is the moment to honor yourself. This is the moment to tap yourself on the back. This is the moment to honor what you've accomplished, what you've done. How did you get here? What have you done? I am grateful for this show, for being connected to the WLFE community, as well as getting closer to my friend Lacrosse. And I want to say that I'm grateful that I have found out about the condition within my heart, that my heart condition, and that I'm making progress in that. I invite each one of you, as I hold this candle up to the camera, for you to give your gratitude to the summer.
Well, I'm grateful for my family, the friends that I've gained in this journey. I'm even grateful for the ones I let go.
Oh.
I'm grateful for the growth that I've been seeing within myself to finally achieve becoming the man that I always admired and wanted to be. I'm even grateful for my dog who's still alive. I almost lost him. And once again, I'm just blessed with such a beautiful wife and children. I'm just very grateful for that. Happy man.
I am grateful for so many things. This past year, I have seen so much growth in myself I didn't think was possible. I have a tendency of I have a lot of self-confidence and self-worth, but sometimes I doubt myself. And I think we all can do that to ourselves. We don't always know our power, and we don't always allow for our lights to shine. And sometimes we dim our own lights. So one of the things this past year has allowed for me is to really see how bright my light can be, in that respecting my own boundaries, in that knowing and understanding that I can create something that has service to others as well, that can be healing for them just as much as it's healing for me. And also for doing my own podcast. I never thought I would branch out and do my own podcast. I hemmed and hawed for so many years before I actually did it. So that I actually did it, I'm really proud of myself, and I have gratitude for Spirit always there pushing me, as well as some of my friends. And sometimes we have to be grateful for the things that we've lost along the way, and sometimes we have to release them and let them go in order for us to grow. So I appreciate the people and the things I've let go of this past year as well. Jason or Brayhawk?
Okay, I'll go. It's an honor and privilege to be a part of this. And I am so grateful for all of you. And I am grateful for my children and for my family. And like Lacrosse has said, also the ones I have let go. I am so grateful for my mental health and stability that I've been able to maintain the past year. And I'm grateful for the woman that I loved, then lost, and then reconnected with after 25 years.
Feel very emotional. I feel everyone's emotion. It's full. That's part of what summer solstice is about, feeling that fullness. I feel like I am on the verge of my destiny, that I'm following my destiny. And it's taken everything I have in terms of work, like everything we've ever done, all the shit we've suffered, all the scrapes and bumps and bruises along the way have led to the strength to do here and now. And so I'm really grateful for that. I'm super, super profoundly, never knew it could be this good, grateful for partnership and love. And pray for Hollis's health. I'm grateful that we have the amazing life we do. And that we continue to see it through together.
Thank you, Bright Hawk. And as Bright Hawk's going to offer us a song. And as she does, I'm hoping that you, the viewers, will share what you're grateful for. And I'll try to read them out loud.
Please hear me say thank you. Thank you for being you. Thank you for all you do. Thank you for what you've been through. Thank you. Please hear me say thank you. Thank you for being you. Thank you for all you do. Thank you for what you've been through. Thank you. Now, I kind of think thank you is the most important word in any language. So I've learned how to say thank you in 35 languages. Now, no worries, I didn't put all of them in the song. I only put about half of them in the song because we only have a certain amount of time. See how many you recognize. Merci, grazie, shishini, danki, dankeschön, spasiba, du melama, kaile boga, kitosh, kamsahamnida, arigato, obrigado, Tatiana, sawabona, sukraya, gracias, mahalo, ashanti, namaste. Any language and in every language. Thank you. Thank you for being you. We need you. You matter. You count more than you could possibly know. So wherever you are, know that the secret to happiness, my friends, is gratitude. more you count your blessings, well, the more blessings you have to count. Wish you all many, many blessings. Thank you.
Thank you, Great Hawk.
Thank you.
Something
Thank
special about
you.
Thank you.
resonates healing energy, eh?
Mm-hmm.
And I just want to read Eve's gratitude blessing. I'm grateful for finding safe space where there are people with who resonate with me without being monolithic, and that the people I have found along this journey actually help me to grow as a person rather than squelching my potential. I think that's beautiful. I'm so
That
glad,
is so beautiful.
so happy for you, Eve. I'm glad that that is true. And I also want to feature Sandy's comment. Thank you. I feel honored to be part of your ceremony. Thank you, Sandy, for being here, always being here, Sandy, always tuning in to Rainbow Soul. We appreciate you. So this is our moment to say thank you.
Thank you.
And I think in this moment, and I want to say thank you to Eve, make sure she hears that in her
Mhm. Yes.
language. That Cindy, could you offer us a midsummer reading with your beautiful cards?
I would love to. So I have these new ones. They're actually dice. They're tarot dice. It's pretty amazing. Yeah, they're called Stardust Tarot Deck. They come from Europe, England, the UK, I should say. Yeah, so it took a little time to get them, but they're awesome. I really enjoy them. So I'll pull a couple from here, but I also would like to pull a couple. You know what? I was going to pull them from Lightseers, but I think I would like to use the Modern Witch, which is a very LGBTQIA plus. So I'm going to pull a couple there too. And let's see.
We love you, Eve.
So what we want to know is what should the question be for what can we hold coming forward? What energy is coming forward from MidSummer?
Where do we go from here?
Where do we go from here? I love that. Let's do that. Where do we go from here? Where do we go from here? The moon. Oh, that's so beautiful. I'm going to pull one more card. Dice, really, die. Where do we go from here? Queen. Perfect. Okay. Where do we go from here? Okay, I have to pull it up. I saw it. Where do we go from here? Where do we go from here? Ooh, I love it though. Okay, so I'm actually going to start with the cards. I have the Tower. Of course, we're going to get the Tower, right? The Ace of Swords. Death. The Moon. the Eight of Pentacles, and the Queen of Pentacles. So what this tells me is the Tower, it talks about, releasing, letting go of all the shit that no longer serves us. It's really time to clear away the shit, because when it all comes down to it, what remains is the things, the stable things that we can then build upon from there. The Ace of Swords talks about new coming truths being brought forward for us. And this is the thing, is we don't always like what truth has to say, but it's time to listen to that truth. It's time to understand that there's a new cycle entering, but you have to listen to the truth. And it's really time to pay attention to that truth. The thing is we have death coming, and death isn't a bad thing. Death is just the end of a cycle. And it talks about really letting go and allowing the new to come in, because with death, there's always renewal, rejuvenation, being reborn, right? So it's all about the seeming cataclysmic release and allowing to let go, but know that there is a solid base there that you are going to build upon. Make sure you're listening to truth and to allow. And this is what they also are making me feel, is to listen to your intuition, because in that renewal from death, we have the moon. There are things that you don't yet see, but it's all about trusting what your intuition is telling you, but also the balance. You need to make sure that you are balanced, feminine and masculine. It has no meaning what your gender, how you identify. We each have these two parts that need to be balanced within us at all times, the feminine and the masculine. And the other thing is the Eight of Pentacles really talks about working and building to what we actually want and really creating it. I love the Eight of Pentacles because to me, it's always about manifesting and growing and making sure you're working towards what it is you really want. And now is the time to not only allow for that manifesting, but to know that you have it within you, that you are building it, that you are creating it. And the Queen of Pentacles just is, it just makes me reiterate, like, you have all the confidence, you have all the stability, you have all of that goodness within you to create that abundance in your life. It's all about you. And it's really about you, and trusting that you can get through those dark moments. You can allow yourself to have gratitude and trust, even though there may be some dark moments. Know and understand that you're really allowing and letting go and releasing and seeing yourself in a much better, newer form than you were seeing yourself.
Wow, that was intense. I needed to hear that.
It was super
awesome.
intense.
Yeah.
Super.
That's awesome. And it totally lines up with the astrology right now. The astrology is exactly what you just said. The last part of it.
One of the things, that a message that keeps coming in my Tarot Tuesdays, which is not focusing on the things that you think that you are limited by. Money, love, that's not what you're focusing on. You are still manifesting the things that you want and allowing that to increase, because though all of these retrogrades that are happening right now like to make us think that oh my God, nothing is happening and we're all in ego right now. It's time to GTF OOE, get the fuck out of ego, and really allow ourselves to know, trust, and believe that there is much more, better, bigger coming, and allowing the abundance to come in our lives. Just have that understanding that inside you need to be stable, grounded, centered, and trust. Those are the things that have been coming, and it just totally lines up with what they're saying here as well. Yeah.
It's beautiful. That's beautiful. Does anyone else have any last offerings for a midsummer ritual? To the community, I want to say one last thing.
Hmm.
Whether you're watching this live, whether you're watching this recorded later, it's okay if you're queer, because a lot of us are queer, and we're here, in case you haven't noticed. And we're flying our flags loud and bright. And even if your parents, the people you love, or whoever in your life is telling you that you are wrong, I'm telling you that you are right. I'm telling you to follow your queer path, that you are you perfectly and exactly who you are. You are perfectly perfect, just the way you are. And you were made in the reflection of the universe. That your stars were aligned to make you exactly who you are. And we need you here. Now, we need you. Whether you have to stay in the closet or you can come out, whatever you can do to help the community, even if it just means that you sit back quietly and hit like on Facebook, that's okay. Please know that we need you to be you as fully as you can be, safely and completely in this world. I am very aware that some people cannot come out of the closet, that it is a matter of life and death. And I pray that that changes for you as soon as possible.
Yes.
And that is my prayer for the world, that every single person on the planet is able to be their full, authentic selves at all times, and that mental illness and anything else that holds you back from being your authentic self is shed. Thank you. So mote it be.
Blessed be. So mote it be. Blessed be.
So mote it be.
Well, I believe we can go ahead and close this circle, this sacred circle that we have. And I think that begins with you, Across.
Divine One, Sacred Spirit, Keeper of all in you. We are complete, included, entire, total. Spirit is infinite, encompassing every possibility, from one spectrum end to the other and all in between. Solstice is the apex of the divine's own light. Spirit grant us balance as we walk the path we find right. Universal One, you contain all we are meant to be. Thank you, manifest our best, for in you we are free.
Earth. Earth. In the north carries both by design. Here the feminine and masculine and reality intertwine. Earth actualizes our ideas, emotions, and thoughts. Earth grounding us in substance is where we walk our talk. At summer solstice, the earth is green, fresh, and fertile. Earth, celebrate this life. Thank you for celebrating this life with us forever in our circle. Earth, you embody the full energy of both, balancing female with male to make up the whole.
Water in the west symbolizes the feminine, strong yet soft, flowing from within. Water with emotions, intuition, and dreams has resonance, guiding our subconscious, demanding we trust. At MidSummer, water is seen in the dew, gentle rains. Water, wash us clean to begin again. Water, you serve as the female element, ambassador for all women you counsel and protect.
Fire in the south has a very male energy, from the heat of a bonfire to the great father sky. Fire is our will, our drive, that spark of inspiration. Fire's brilliance illuminates dark corners, raises our motivation. St. John's Day, summertide, the God's time is here. Fire give us strength and courage, burn away our fears. Fire, you offer us a masculine connection, whether beaten path or newfound trail. Your light, you light our direction.
Air in the East is not often given a gender, both ethereal and muscular. Air is a bender. Air represents our thoughts, our knowledge, and our ideas. Air lifts us up, blows us back, demands and teaches. With the turn of the wheel, midsummer is here. Air swinging through us, make the cloudy become clear. Air in your neutrality, you neither preach nor judge. Free to each be who we are, ourselves we become.
And the circle is open, but never broken. Merry meet, merry part, and merry meet again.
Yay! Thank you for allowing me to be part of this, Hollis. Thank you so much. And Lacrosse, this is, you filled my night.
Well, I'm so grateful you were here, and I'm grateful all of you are here. All of us.
Same. Same.
Thank you. And in this moment, I've been shuffling my Love is Love deck.
Beautiful.
It is a collaborative LGBTQ deck. Every single card is done by a different LGBTQ artist. And whether you're watching this as in a recording or live right now, I want to say that this reading is meant for you. Whatever you find, as resonates for you, please take it. Otherwise, leave the rest. It could be for someone else. Eve, I want to address your question because Bright Hawk's instrument is actually called a hand pan. And let me tell you, we used to travel the country visiting places with people with all kinds of different abilities, people with dementia, but also people, sometimes we'd go to places with people with special needs. And there was a woman who was actually newly deaf. And when Bright Hawk played that instrument, she was so taken aback that she could actually hear it because she couldn't hear anything else, but she heard the instrument live. It was a really magical, beautiful summer experience, actually. We were out in their courtyard in the summertime, and this woman was so she was so excited because she hadn't heard anything in a long time. And she said she heard it in a different way, but that she could hear it. And so it's called a hand pan, Eve. And if we ever had the opportunity to play for you live, we absolutely would.
Yeah.
So just thank you. I wanted to address that because it is special. It is, very special instrument. So in this moment, the first card that we got today for everyone is the King of Pentacles. The king in this particular deck is sort of holding on to all of his gifts. Like, wow, look at me. I have all of these gifts. And he's sort of celebrating that. And I think Spirit is pointing that out, that it's okay to hold your gifts and celebrate them just as they are. Everything that you do have, don't forget to celebrate what you have.
That's right.
Don't forget to give gratitude for what you do have. And for the right now, this is another beautiful card of a bearded queen. I always think of bearded queens when I look at this card. And it is a gender bender, but it is also, as you can see, it's the Magician. It's about manifesting even beyond belief. And that's what this card is. It's about you can manifest even beyond what you think is possible.
What card is that?
It's the Magician.
The Magician. I love it.
And it is about manifesting what you don't like. It's almost kind of hard to believe this bearded queen that kind of is a goat, right, on the edge of this thing with a sword, and you're kind of like, okay, right? And that's what it's about. is that, yes, you can manifest what you think is beyond belief. So it is in your power. You have the power. And this final card is the Knight of Swords, which is a character that is ready to go. She is ready to take action. And this character, you can see the little bit of rainbow on her shoulder instrument there. And it's actually, if you look close at that, it's the transgender colors. And this is a trans woman. And I want to say that every trans woman I know and every drag queen I know it's hard, that they do unbelievable things. And it's one thing to be a trans man because we have a certain amount of privilege in that. And going the other way, there's something about it that changes for them. Stigma. And I want to honor that stigma and that power that they have to own in that. In that moment. And notice we had this character here also always resonates with me as a trans man. He really embodies that kind of energy as the king. And this here as the Knight of Swords. And embodying that power that even you can manifest the unbelievable.
Very good. Very
so
good.
I have to tell you that your magician part of your reading was reiterated from my familiar, who is literally sleeping under my table and who has not made a sound except when you started talking about manifesting and doing all the work we needed to do, and for it to be coming 2 different times. Simeon made this acknowledgement of truth as you were talking. So I thought that was amazing.
No, thanks. And I really appreciate your reading, Cindy. I appreciate what you bring.
Yeah.
And thank you, Lacrosse, for your beautiful wisdom and the stuff about Taino culture. I love adding that and knowing about that and including it. And thank you, Bright Hawk, for your beautiful music and your drumming and your wisdom and your light.
Yeah.
All of that's very important in the world. And Jason, thank you for bringing your masculinity and your calmness and even your wisdom of being who we are and dealing with and living with mental illnesses. I totally get it.
Yeah.
And so thank you for doing what you do in the world. It's important.
Yeah, it is.
And Hollis, thank you for making a safe space for us here. That no matter what walk of life we're in, we can come here and talk about it intelligently, intellectually, and kindly and respectfully. So I want to thank you for that.
Yes.
Yes, thank you so much.
Well, and thank you for watching Rainbow Soul. Thank you for being here tonight. Thank you.
Oh, you're muted.
Yeah. And as we close tonight, I was a little ahead of myself. As we close, thank you. Thank you for being here. Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Thank you for watching Rainbow Soul, part of the WLFE DB Network, a queer perspective on spirituality beyond religion. We appreciate you sharing the show on your timeline, follow us on social media of your choice, and join our Facebook group, Rainbow Soul. We want to hear from you. Share your topic ideas for Hollis and Lacrosse. Explore upcoming shows and interesting guests. The Rainbow Soul Facebook group, where we build community of questioning seekers. Rainbow Soul, where spirituality is our medicine.
Tune in to Kaleidoscope Eyes with your host, Transman Lacrosse Ortiz. Every week, we will be touching topics within the LGBTQIA plus community. We will also be having interviews with individuals within the community and allies. Journey with us as we share in their struggles and triumphs every Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern.